Hello, I'm Dr. Chaz. You're here with Y.E.S Project, a mentoring organization, mentoring incarcerated and at-risk youth. Thank you for joining us this week with this video broadcast. This week we're going to discuss sin. Sin is kind of broad, so there's a lot you could talk about sin. But for the most part, sin is related to those things done against God. And after that, or before that, there's nothing else. Everything's open. You know, I guess we might say it's open game. Because everybody has their own understanding on right and wrong. Something, I mean, we got breaking the law. Breaking the law is a different thing. Breaking the law doesn't fall into the category, even though it is in the category of sin, a lot of things that people do, but that's not what we really relate it to for the most part. To break the law is something that is just done before men, and that's the kind of area that we cover. But sin is sin, and sin is general, and it applies to everybody in the world. My main point in this broadcast is to define sin for you to the best of my ability, to give you a little bit more in-depth revelation to sin and what sin really represents. And there's two types of sin. And there's man's sin, and then there's God's sin. There's sins that we have decided to make what we feel is sin as men, as human beings, I should say. And then there's sin for the eyesight of God. The best thing for me to do is kind of try to break it down a little bit for you here. Try to do it the best that I can within the small frame time we have on this video. But listen, most of us don't understand sin. Most of us sin, we don't understand really the truest definition of sin or what sin is all about. And we see things, and the more graphic we see, and the more disgusting it is to us, the more we think it's the greatest. That's a despicable sin because it's horrifying. But this may sound a little strange to you, but that's not the way God looks at sin. Things that are despicable and horrifying does not define spiritual sin. Yes, it can be very graphic to the human being and to the flesh, to the body. But the spirit has its own definition of sin. And it's not defined like man sin is defined. Let's break some sin down a little bit in relationship to men. Let's say that there's some sins that we as men, especially within the church, and they're supposed to really be the most spiritual and the most knowledgeable of the things of God, and they really kind of confused a lot in a lot of the people of God in relationship to sin, because they get into so much physical things and relate that to sin. So let's tap on a few physical things. We got sex. Sex is considered sin for the most part, both to the world and more so to the church. You know, sex outside of marriage is considered sin. It's fornication. Okay, you got adultery. That's sin with when you're married and you have sex with another person. So that's adultery. So, but the greatest sin between them both is usually fornication, because people have numerous mates before they even marry, and that's fornication. So that's a sex. That's a sin. Fornication, sin, and the Bible speaks about that sin. So the reason why I brought that sin up is because that is a spiritual sin, but it's not like we think it is. It's not the physical that really counts against you. spiritual aspect. But I'm going to try to define that the best I can. Hopefully maybe I can touch on it later on, maybe I won't get to it. But the fact is there's a lot of things. We got smoking. People consider smoking a sin. A lot of people in the church consider smoking a sin. Not everybody, but some people consider that to be a sin, to smoke. To drink. People, a lot of, especially within the church, drinking is a sin. I'm gonna touch on that a little bit because I just feel led to do so. Let's touch on that physical sin. That's a physical sin. Truthfully, drinking is not a spiritual sin. It's not really even a sin before God. God doesn't see drinking as a sin. Men do see drinking as a sin. A lot of men, a lot of ministers don't drink because of sin, because they say it's a sin. There's only one real indication in the Bible that tells people not to drink, and that's where it's referring to a bishop is not to be given wine. That's one particular thing. I got enough time to touch on the bishop and what a bishop is and what his job is and so on and so on. But there are cases, I would say, that some people shouldn't drink and some people shouldn't drink at all, and it's a sin for some people not to drink. To drink at all. But let's touch in relationship to it being a sin before man. Most people think it's a sin because you get drunk, but not everybody that takes a drink gets drunk. Okay? Drunkenness is a sin, even before God. Drunkenness is a sin. Not so much because you're drunk, though. It's a sin because you have abused your body. You have taken it to a limit that you're not supposed to take the body to, and that's the same thing for anything. Obesity. That's the same thing for anything that you glut in. If you're glutting in anything, then you're taking it over and above its limitations, and that's a sin. That's where the sin comes in. It's not a sin to drink. If you want to drink, you can. If you want to casually have a drink or whatever, you can drink, and God ain't looking on you sitting up here saying you sin. There's parts in the Bible where Jesus turned water into wine. I don't want you to think that I'm condoning folks to drink within the church. Actually, really, it's not a good habit to have, period, because it's not something that glorifies you for the most part. So drinking doesn't glorify you, doesn't give any glory to anything. So it's not something that I would say, yeah, you should, go on and get busy, get your drink on, No, that's not. Don't get me confused. Don't confuse the issue with the fact that what I'm saying. I'm just saying the fact that drinking within itself can't be a sin. There's no way for it to be a sin. It's not doing anything to anybody. Not the drinking, the getting drunk and the doing acts, being drunk and things like that. You may harm some people, and you may harm your body if you just abusing yourself with alcohol. But Jesus turned water into wine, and he didn't turn water into alcohol. So let's don't get that mixed up, okay? You folks that's drinking straight, gin and so on, all this straight alcohol. That's a whole big other issue, okay? You really like to drink. You want to get bent, okay? You want to be toasted. You want to be wasted, okay? That's a sin when you're trying to do something to your body to make your body out of its natural habitat, So you're trying to get your body into a state of pretense or a state of totally nonchalant to its surrounding, then that's to the excessiveness, and that's wrong. That's wrong before God. That's wrong for you. That's a sin. So we're talking about this physical sin that man look upon, and that's why men have categorized it like they have, because it's so much it's attached to, so much wrong is attached to when it's abuse. But that's the abusive. You're not supposed to abuse anything. You abuse anything, it's going to mess you up. I don't care what it is. You could be a workaholic, and that's abusive, and that'll mess your family up. That'll mess your life up if you're an abusive workaholic. And you don't take time to spend time with your family, your wife, your children. You don't spend time with your loved ones, and you just work to make money. That's abusive. That's a sin. That's basically the same thing. So my point is, a want you to have clarification. I want you to understand that we're not talking about something that within its own nature can be a sin. So drinking can't be a sin within itself. Even sex is not a sin within itself, because if it's done in prospective order, then it's enjoyable and it's pleasurable and it's for reproduction, you know. But you should be married. You should have a person that you can have sex with casually and not have a problem with it. And you can do whatever you want to do. They got hang-ups even on that within the marriage. You know, you got the church getting hung up on what kind of sex you can have and what kind of sex you can't have. The Bible doesn't get into that. Even the Bible's not God. The Bible's the Word of God, but it doesn't get into defining what you can do in the bed. Do whatever you want to do in the bed. You know, if you're married, according to God, the only thing I know about the Word of God is, you know, if you're married, the bed is undefiled. I mean, undefiled just means undefiled. I mean, it's just nothing you can do in the bed that's defiling if you're husband and wife, if you're married, and if you think things is in prospective order before God. You can't do anything wrong in the bed. So people, they have a problem about not having oral sex, and you know, you can't do certain things because you know, it's, you know, that's not God. You don't know who's you. You know, you ain't nobody. Alright? Get out of other people's business. Get out of if people married, if that's in their house, you need to be out of their business. You know what I mean? When it comes down to their love and how they express their love to one another, you need to be out of that business. You need to just leave that before them two people, because they won. You ain't. They don't say they won and the ministers won with y'all. Okay, that don't happen. Okay, get out your personal stuff that ain't none of folks' business. Okay, you and your wife, you and your husband, y'all can make love. Okay, y'all can have sex. You can do whatever you want to do. That's your business. Okay. You can enjoy each other. However you feel like you want to enjoy each other, you can enjoy each other. It's just a body, okay? It's not something miraculous, mysterious that God is dealing with. It's a body. It's a fleshly body. And all you are doing is enjoying each other's body, you know? And that's basically it. But now the world has gotten to the place to where we enjoy everybody's body, okay? Everybody enjoying everybody's bodies. So that goes back to what I just got finished. That's obsessive. Okay, we go on to the excessive, then it becomes sin. It's not sin because it's sex. It's sin because it's being obsessive. You decide that you want to have sex with so many people, as many people as you can, and so on and so on. You want to be a freak. You know, you want to get freaky. You want to get your freak on, or whatever way you want to put it. You know, I'm an older guy, so I get use words that I use. You know, you might have your own words that y'all use. Whatever. The bottom line is, it's obsessive if you're doing it out of order. If you're doing it with more than one person and different things, and you're not building a relationship with that person, then it's going to be some backfire on you anyway. It's going to backfire, slap you in the face anyway. You're going to bite. You're going to get bit in the butt behind you, no matter what. Because you know, people get their feelings hurt, and then they come back. You know, they want to come back biting and fighting. Because they mad because you hurt their feelings. You sat here, you know, and took something of them and misused their emotions, and now you want to move on, and it's all good. It usually don't work that way. People usually get a little pissed off, really want to come back and do some repercussion behind it, you know. And sometimes it ends up real extremely bad for some people. Some people then kill people behind it, you know. Some people done done some terrible things to people behind it, you know. But that's just a sin of the flesh that we're talking about. Now I want to kind of get into the area of the next stage of sin before our time really kind of narrows down, and I ain't really got a lot of time to spend on it, but I'm going to touch bases on it some, a little bit. The spiritual sin. The spiritual sin is the greatest part of sin, and I'm the chief sinner of that. You know, I'm the one that sins the most above everybody that I can know of. I never run across anybody that sins more than me, and that's because I'm so sensitive to the operations of the Spirit of God that I know sin. I know it in its truest makeup. I have the spirit of discernment. I have the gift of discernment. I can discern spiritual spiritual things, and I know sin. I know spiritual sin, and that means I got a lot to answer to. That's what that means. That means I got to stand before God for a lot of things. So I try to walk as careful as I possibly can. And the closer you are to understanding the operations of God, the more you have to really watch your own walk, you know. And really you got to clean around your own house as much. You don't clean around other people's house as much. You can see people. When I see people, I see them more innocent than me. I don't care who you are, pretty much so. Because you're purer than I am. You know, you got less sin than I got. And I'm busy sinning too much, far beyond your imagination. But understand, this is not the sin that man see as sin, so they don't see it. Now they may see me still and look at it, they can see a certain makeup on me because of certain presence I give, and I'm gonna give that presence. You know, I'm gonna give that presence out because it's my spirit, it's who I really am, and I'm gonna operate who I really am, and I'm not gonna be anything else. I'm not gonna be phony about it. But that's why I'm the chief sinner of it all, and I'm not gonna go into more of this. Maybe I can pick this broadcast up with a part 2 because I really don't feel I was able to cover it. But listen, you don't get hung up on your physical as much. You need to learn about your spiritual life and understand where your sin really lies. This is Dr. Chaz. This is Y.E.S Project. We appreciate you tuning in to us. Join us next week, and you continue to have a blessed